Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is
Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. This is the day we all wish we were home and not working. Edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. One of the great TV days of the year. One of the great, look at the road is perfect there, that shot. Everybody stay home today because it's the opening day of the NCAA basketball tournament. It's the opening day of the Class B boys basketball tournament. If there's ever a day to say, I ain't working today, this would be it. But here we are. We're ready to go because it is a fun sports day. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Dom Izzo. We are packed today. Busy. It's a huge basketball day. I mean, that goes without saying, as we talked about off the top of the show. And we will have plenty of hoops chatter here for the majority of our 2 hours this morning with the official tip, quote unquote, of the NCAA basketball tournament. Also, I'll put in smaller quotation marks that it started a couple days ago. And it's a huge day for us. It's the Class B boys basketball tournament begins this afternoon. You'll see all the games today on WDAY beginning at 1 o'clock with the first of the 4 quarterfinals. And I had the distinct pleasure of calling this tournament for 7 years. And you understand the weight, the gravity that goes with it. And I think for this year, even a bit more, with it being the final one as we know it, with the structure of North Dakota basketball set to change next year. This is it. 5 of the 8 teams that are in Bismarck this weekend will not be part of Class B next year. So as a changing of the guard for the 3 teams that are remaining, Warwick, Powers Lake, and Medina Pingree Buchanan, they are, I don't know if they're the underdogs. I don't know if they're the crowd favorites, potentially, because they are the remaining Class B holdovers. But for the 5 schools that are moving on, whether it be Shiloh, Delax Burlington, Central Cass, Thompson, those teams that are on their way up to the, quote-unquote, the new division, Beulah, that there's a lot at stake for them. They love to have that association of them being the last Class B winners. So a lot at stake and excited to bring that to you. Cullen Holt and Zach Dosh, Logan Campbell will be our broadcasting crew out there, and they're doing a great job. Our team has been sensational. We've been rewarded with some great games this entire tournament run, starting with boys hockey all the way to last weekend when we had at the Shack with a Super A, and it's going to be a dynamite 3 days out in Bismarck. Excited to see what will transpire over the next couple days. On top of that, we got a heck of a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot to sandwich in. NFL free agency is, I don't know if it's winding down, but we finally have an answer, at least spoken from the man himself, and Aaron Rodgers, which we'll get to in a bit. I told you I would not talk about it until there was somewhat of resolution. We have that now, so we will talk about it coming up in just a little bit. Let's start, though, with our highlights of the night. The Wolves and the Wild both played last night. 2 highly entertaining games, depending on your viewpoint. Actually, you know what? Doesn't even matter who you're rooting for. They were highly entertaining games last night. We'll start with the Timberwolves playing Boston. Celtics, one of the best teams in the NBA. Thriller with this one. It was an offensive slog in the second quarter for the team started waking up in the third. You see a thunder jam there from Jaylen Brown. Deep 3 here. Puts the Celtics up by 6. Wolves are end up being down 9. Ant gets going here, knocks down a 3. Makes it a 6-point game. Slither there, and the foul. Edwards was great last night at 28 points on 10 of 20 from the field. Wolves have got it down to 4. That was a nifty dish there from Slow-Mo, from Kyle Anderson, coming off his triple-double that he had Monday against the Hawks. They've got it to 2. That is such a tough shot. Such a tough shot there. Off balance from Marcus Smart. Gets the lead back to 4. The lob there to Rudy. Cuts it down to 2. Celtics with the ball, under 30 seconds to go. Another drive and finish. I don't know how you stop that. Smart was great last night. Now it's 2. Edwards, little fadeaway. Can't connect there. Tatum comes up with the board. Now controversy reigns here at the end of this game. Watch underneath the hoop. We got a tie up for the ball. You would think with Grant Williams and Rudy Gobert. Now, Joe Mazzulla, the coach of the Celtics, is on the floor. They didn't call a technical. Then on the jump ball, I mean, what? Grant Williams that's not a legal jump ball. Just literally leaned into Rudy and pushed the ball forward, and that's how the game ended. Celtics win. I mean, Gobert had a great comment after the game saying there's no way I would lose a jump ball to Grant Williams. It seemed to me, I mean, I'm not a great jump ball mind, but that seemed like that wasn't a quote-unquote fair one. Again, you had Mazzulla on the court in live action. No technical foul was called. I get it. There's excuses. The Wolves shouldn't have put themselves in that spot. They did, and they end up losing 104-102. If there is any bright spot, as you look at the stats from the game last night, and the Wolves haven't won a home game, by the way, in over a month. I know they haven't been at home all that often, but it's been a while since the Wolves have won a game at Target Center. Just real quick here. The last time the Timberwolves won a game and their own building was February the 5th. It was when all the guys from Denver sat out. They won by 30. Because they went on the road after that. They lost to the I was going the Bullets. The Wizards right before the All-Star break. Lost to the Hornets in that horrible game. They were back out on the road again. Lost to the Sixers. Lost to the Nets. And now lost to the Celtics. They've lost 5 in a row at home. Maybe it's a good thing their next 3 are away from Target Center as they go to Chicago, the Raptors, and the Bulls for their next 3. Here are the up-to-date standings in the Western Conference. And again, I was going to say maybe it's a good thing they lost because everybody else around them lost last night. The Lakers lost last night. Warriors lost. So as it stands now, the Wolves are a game back of Golden State. There's Dallas, the Thunder, the Lakers, and then the Jazz on the outside looking in here. It's not out of the realm of possibility for the Wolves to get 6 and get out of the play-in tournament. But you got to start winning your games at home, as I mentioned now, with their next little stretch on the road, as they have played now 70 games. So they only have 12 games remaining, which is kind of wild to say, in the NBA regular season before the postseason begins. Okay, so that had a wild finish there. And no play on words or pun intended here. The Minnesota Wild wrapping up their road trip. Mind you, the Wild had got points in 13 straight games. That's a new team record. Playing the Blues, and St. Louis is bad. They're out of it. But they always own the Wild. And they got up 3-1 in this game before that goal from John Klingberg to make it a 3-2 game in the second period. Same score. Oscar Sundqvist comes in, rebound. They whack at it, beats Jordan Binnington, ties the game up at 3. Sundqvist, by the way, one of those pickups from the trade deadline. Boy, that's been good for Bill Guerin. Knotted up at 3. Same score later in the period. Down low, how about that? Mason Shaw, right place, right time, buries it, makes it 4-3. The Blues tie it, and now here's when the wildness begins. Ryan Hartman will score on the power play. He hits Binnington there, and then Binnington turns into the Hulk and loses it. Like, he wants to fight on Hartman. And here's the best part. Marc-Andre Fleury was ready to go. We nearly had a goalie fight, and for some reason, they broke it up. Like, we were this close to having... It's been a while since I've seen a goalie fight, folks. Maybe we've had one Binnington just lost his mind. I don't know what happened there. After that, the Wild just dominated this game. Alex Goligoski gets loose and scores. Defenseman getting behind the defense made it 6-4. And the Wild win this game. 8-5 is the final in a game that was this close to having a fight, a goalie fight. I don't know what's going on. Okay, Hartman hit. I don't know if you guys can cue this part up. Hartman skates into him, but he's just trying to go celebrate. It's not like he's doing it, at least didn't look to me intentionally, that he was hitting Binnington in the leg there. And he just went, thanks, guys. He just lost it. Watch again. He scores, going to celebrate. Binnington's out there. He just skates into him. And then next thing you know, he punches him in the face. I don't understand. And the second part is the linesmen let him go. They want to fight. I mean, I'm not a fan of fighting in the NHL. I think it's dumb. I think it's outdated. Let him go. They were ready to scrap. At this point, everybody was waiting for it. I mean, Binnington was thinking that was going to pump up his team. It didn't. In fact, it spurred the Wild on after that. And Minnesota now has a point in 14 consecutive games. As you see their record now, 11-0-3 in their last 14. Hartman, who has been horrendous, 2 goals and a helper last night. Ryan Reeves, who we showed you the fight he got into in their game Sunday night in Phoenix against the Coyotes, gets another goal and assist. And holy cow. I mean, if we were doing this show a month ago, and we had the Wild, not DOA, but pretty close to it. Now, as you look at the standings in the Central Division here, and I love our updated graphic here. This is sharp. The Wild are a point behind Dallas for the lead. I mean, right now they're going for potentially the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. You see Vegas has 90 points. The Kings with 87. Edmonton 86. Pacific has been really good. The Wild with 86, just a point behind Dallas. And if you're worried about the last playoff spot, that's where Winnipeg holds that right now. They have 79 points. The Wild are 7 clear of that. Pretty good stuff. This is an up-to-date look at the playoffs right now. Of course, the Wild would play the Avalanche. And I know Colorado has not been what we were last year, but they're still Colorado. That would be a brutal first-round matchup. And the Wild have the best team in hockey coming to the X on Saturday. The Bruins are there Saturday afternoon, then the Capitals on Sunday, and then it's the Devils. If you look on the other side of the ledger there, Boston's in the playoffs, the Devils are in the playoffs, Washington is just on the outside. So you've got 2 of the next 3 games against playoff teams. Tough matchups here for the Wild. Crazy game last night. Real quick on the Vikings front. Couple signings yesterday worth our attention of mentioning before we set up our show. The first in the running back room. And it's Alexander Madison who gets a deal with the Vikings. First reported by our good friend Doogie Wolfson. 2 years, $7 million for the former Boise State back who the Vikings drafted a few years ago. Have to think that he's going to be the number 1 guy. 74 carries last year were the fewest in his career. He finished the season with a 2-touchdown game against the Bears. He did not touch the ball against the Giants in the playoff game. And it also raises the question of, okay, if the Vikings did this, does that mean they're moving on from Dalvin Cook? I think that's only reasonable to think that the Vikings are looking to trade Dalvin and trying to find out the most they can get for him. Madison, career high 5 rushing touchdowns this past season. Saw some time as a 3rd down back. Caught a screen pass for the touchdown and the win over the Saints. You saw that in the game in London. Here's a stat I have no idea. This is like baseball stats. Madison had a 45.9% success rate on his carries last year, meaning the percentage of plays with positive expected points added compared to a 34.4% success rate for Dalvin Cook. Yeah, I guess that sounds good. He's going to be the guy. I think the Vikings are content with a running back by committee. So if you saw anything in the Super Bowl, the two teams that were playing there, Eagles and the Chiefs, what did they have? They did not have a number one guy running the ball. It was a committee there. Like the Chiefs had McKinnon, Pacheco. I mean, they had different. The Eagles had Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. They had different dudes out there. And the Vikings, I think, certainly appreciate Cook, but have a lot of tread on the tires. Another shoulder surgery he just had this offseason. Probably looking to move on there. I'd expect in the next day or two that there's going to be some sort of trade. The other local deal, our guy Ben Ellison is staying with the Purple. They announced yesterday that the Hawley native North Dakota State standout re-signed with the team. Ellison had 3 receptions last year. He knows, obviously, his spot on this roster and his value as a blocker. Of course, that came in the Lions game earlier this season. He knows he can catch the ball. I don't know if Viking fans know this from his time at NDSU, but he can get out there and do something. That's right out of the Bison playbook, by the way, out of the West Coast offense, that rollout to the tight end. It'll be his 3rd year for the Hawley guy to stay with the Purple, and hopefully he can stay healthy. I know that's been the real bugaboo the last couple of years, have been injuries that have sidelined him for a good chunk of time, but he ends up re-signing with the team. Good stuff there for Hawley's pride and the Bison standout to get another deal with the Vikings. We are a packed show here today. Coming up at 9:35, one of my good friends, super excited for him, University of Minnesota Duluth men's basketball coach Justin Wieck will join us. If you missed it on Tuesday, the Bulldogs won the Central Regional. They are off to the Elite Eight next week, joining the women's team that won on Monday. That was at home, actually, for the Duluth women. First time in NSIC history that the men and women's team are both heading to the Elite Eight. We'll visit with Wieck coming up at 9:35. Got to be a surreal last couple days after their win at Northwest Missouri State, after they got beat as the number 1 seed. At 10 o'clock, Jory Collins will join us bright and early from Eugene, Oregon. The Bison women left yesterday for the Pacific Northwest as they will take on the Oregon Ducks tomorrow night in the first round of the women's NIT. It's the final game of the first round, 9 o'clock tip, so we're waking Jory up early today. Expectations heading into this, and just ask him emotions about playing Oregon. I think a lot of us had the Bison staying in the central time zone. Ends up not being the case as they head west to take on Oregon. And at 10:35, Chris Brown will join us, head coach of the Lakers of Des Lacs Burlington. Another one of those teams that is moving up to the new Class A division. They will play tonight against Thompson in the final game of the day. They won the Region 6 championship last week. A little bit of a drive from Minot area down to Bismarck. They'll be on the bus this morning. He'll join us at 10:35 in anticipation of their game tonight against Thompson. That and a heck of a lot more here on our show this morning. We come back. Why, being a Jets and a Mets fan, you cannot have two good things on one day. We'll show you exactly why. Back on Hot Mic on this Thursday morning on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. All right, welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, there's still time to sign up for the Hot Mic Bracket Challenge. Winner will get a $50 gift card to Shields. Our crew's not eligible. I know I had people ask me. Sorry, guys. We have, this is crazy. We've been doing this for a bit. That's our, I think, 5th year. We have over 200 people signed up for the Bracket Challenge. So you can still get in. It's on our Hot Mic Twitter page. At Hot Mic WDAY, get signed up there and get entered. You got to have your picks done here in a couple of hours here, under 2 hours to go, with the games getting started at just after 11 o'clock this morning. So go to our Hot Mic Twitter page to get signed up for that. All right. I've waited this long in the show. It's time to rip the lid off of it. Yesterday, as we were wrapping up the show, and I think Pat McAfee probably had the most viewers he's ever had, is with his normal Aaron Rodgers guest appearance. And still have to call him, Packers quarterback said yesterday that he intends to play in 2023 and that he intends to play for the New York Jets this upcoming season. There's the quote that he said yesterday to Pat McAfee. He added, he made the decision on Friday. He's not holding up a trade, which still isn't finalized. According to Rodgers, is that the Packers are holding things up because they want as much compensation as possible. The Packers want to move on and let me know that in so many words. Actually, they've said that a few times. You heard Mark Murphy, the Packers GM, say that late last weekend. Rodgers added that when he went into the darkness retreat, he was 90% sure he wanted to retire. But when he left the darkness, something changed with the Packers' previous stance of wanting him to play his whole career in Green Bay, and that he wished the team was more direct with him at the beginning of the offseason. This whole thing, I know for many are tired of it. I'm right there with you, but everybody, I really am, even though this affects my favorite team in a direct way. There are a lot of reasons why the Jets are attractive, Rodgers said. There's one coach who has meant as much to me as any coach as I've ever had. Of course, he's talking to Nathaniel Hackett, who the Jets hired as their offensive coordinator. Rodgers won his third and fourth NFL MVPs during the time that Hackett was the coordinator in Green Bay. And the Jets have some attractive pieces. It looks like they're going to sign Allen Lazard, guy that obviously Rodgers knows well. They have Garrett Wilson, who was the offensive rookie of the year. They have Sauce Gardner, who was the defensive rookie of the year. I mean, they have a ton of pieces there. That the Jets are poised to be good. And as I've said how many times last year on the show, after they got to 7-4, and thinking, boy, that they are set up here. They had beaten the Bills, they had beaten the Dolphins, and they had done that with Mike White and Zach Wilson at quarterback. Now, here's the thing, and this was debated to the cows come home about leverage and who's got it. Obviously, the Jets want to make this deal because they want to get A-Rod there. I find it laughable that he would suddenly show up for OTAs and minicamp when he never did that before with the Packers. The Packers hold all the leverage here. I mean, he's already on the books for his contract. The Packers are fully anticipating him playing and him paying it. So they can drag this out as long as they want. Now, anytime in negotiation, for the times that I've done it, you go in with a set number or go in with set wants, and the other party is going to go in with set wants and needs, right? And I always think a good negotiation ends up that each side is going to give up a little bit. That you come away not pleased, because satisfied, I guess is maybe the best way to say it. The Jets are probably going to end up giving up more than what they want, and the Packers aren't going to get everything that they would think that they want or need. They're not giving up 2 number ones, and that conversation is over. The Jets shouldn't give up a number one, period. They gave up a 4th-round pick to get Brett Favre. All right? And Favre has played in more Super Bowls to that point than Rodgers has. Sorry. I mean, you're not getting a number one. And if that ends up happening, then I will be. I'm not thrilled about this anyway because I'm not a Rodgers fan. Personally, I do not like the guy. Just telling you as a Jet fan. But can he help the Jets win? Sure. Can he get them to the place where they haven't been since 1969? Sure. So, and that, all right. But I don't want to see a 1st-round pick going the other way. And I think Joe Douglas, the general manager of the Jets, is smart enough on that. But all the leverage is with Green Bay. They can hold this out to the draft, and then if they don't like it, if they don't get there, then maybe they can hold out for the 24 draft and say, all right, you got to give us your 1st-round pick in 24. I mean, we could go on and on here. But this is going to happen one way or the other. I mean, the Jets were out of any real leverage anyway. So I had the excitement of that yesterday. I'm like, all right, this is going to happen. Pretty cool. And then late last night, I blame Kyle for this. Kyle Strecker, who's our director, got on me because I didn't include the Dominican Republic-Puerto Rico game in our What to Watch yesterday from the World Baseball Classic. And it was highly entertaining, by the way. If you flipped it on and watched any of that, I mean, the stands were packed in Miami. It was a fabulous environment. My guy, Edwin Diaz, is Puerto Rican. He was pitching for their team last night. They won the game. And then this happens at the end. In this dog pile off to the left of your screen there, the celebration goes on, and Diaz goes down. He's down on the ground. And he's not getting up. And this is the part where I'm watching this live. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. For people who don't know, by the way, Diaz is the all-star closer for the New York Mets. The trumpet guy. That's how they know him. And literally, celebration, that's his brother, who they've never played with together before, goes to that's Francisco Lindor, who, by the way, is the star player for the Mets. Might be seeing their World Series chances go right down the tubes on March 15th. I'm watching this in horror. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He couldn't put any weight on it. They had to bring a wheelchair out. Again, there's not a great angle here, but celebrating, he gets hurt. I mean, this is the part where now we're reaching just surreal. They tried to carry him off. They couldn't do that. I mean, you got to be kidding me here, folks. This is why, as a Jory Met fan, you can't have two good things in one day. You got Aaron Rodgers, great, but the Mets' chances to win anything may have just gone down before the season even starts. And you're going to have people come out of the woodwork today saying that the World Baseball Classic is the dumbest thing ever, and why are they playing this now? And this is the reason why so many guys opted out, which I can see that. But, I mean, the pride that everybody was playing for here, this was like Game 7 of the World Series last night between these two teams. Just surreal. I mean, they even had to help off. That's his brother, who was in tears. That's Diaz's younger brother. You couldn't even fathom that this actually went on. And the Mets put out a statement last night that he was going to undergo imaging. There hasn't been anything put out since yet today. I was refreshing constantly last night looking for some sort of update on what was happening. The last tweet that the Mets put out was 11 hours ago. Edwin Diaz injured his right knee after tonight's World Baseball Classic game. He will undergo imaging tomorrow and will update when appropriate. Okay, it's 10:30 Eastern. I need an update. I need something. Unbelievable. So, yeah, you got one great thing and then balance it out right there. We'll take a break. We come back. We'll be joined by Duluth men's basketball coach Justin Wieck. His Bulldogs are off to the Elite Eight for the Division II National Tournament. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody, to Hot Mike here on this Thursday morning. One of the great sports days of the year as we get the NCAA basketball tournament going. The Class B basketball tournament starts later today out in Bismarck. We've got hoops galore going around the area. And if you missed it the other night, the last two nights, Monday and Tuesday, what a day it was for the University of Minnesota Duluth. They are known for their hockey. They should be known for their hoops as well. They certainly over the last few years, as both the men's and women's teams have qualified to go to the Elite Eight next week. The women winning at home on Monday. What a great scene that was. And the men did it on the road in St. Joseph, Missouri, as they beat Southern Nazarene to win the Central Region Championship and off to the Elite Eight. It's always cool when you see success for people you've known and got to know for a long time. That's certainly our next guest I've known for the better part of a decade since the days he was, quote-unquote, slumming it at the University of Jamestown, and now he's on his way to the Elite Eight. As we welcome on Justin Wieck back to our show, University of Minnesota Duluth men's basketball coach. Congratulations, buddy boy. This has come a long way since the days in Jamestown. Tell me what the last 48 hours have been like.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's a big day when you get a chance to sit down with you. You know your team's done something special. So there definitely was not slumming it in Jamestown. That's a great place. I tell you what, we loved our time there. But what a whirlwind weekend it's been for us. From a basketball standpoint, our guys played 3 of the best games they've played all year. And as a coach, that's rewarding when your guys are peaking at the right time. And we kind of did it a different way than kind of what we're known for. Our defense was phenomenal. And not that we haven't been decent on defense, but we're always known for scoring points and kind of looking pretty offensively. But there were some really, I don't want to call them ugly wins, but just some really gritty defensive performances. So that's probably what I'm most proud of. These guys have found different ways to win. It's been a crazy couple of days. We finally got back late last night from St. Joe's, and we're going to enjoy it here for a day or two, and obviously get back to work.
Second time that you get to go to Evansville, Indiana. Obviously, you were with Chad Walthall. That was I believe your first year, right, with the Dragons?
First year, yeah.
When MSUM went to the Elite Eight. And tell me about just that experience and how much you tried to soak it up, and now going as a head coach now here next week.
Yeah, I think it's always a balancing act. Number one, it's super hard to get here, so we have to really enjoy it. You have to understand how special it is to win a Central Region title. But at the same time, I think there's a feeling with our guys that we're not quite done yet. It's not our ultimate goal. It's obviously a huge goal for us. But once you get here, the way we're playing, we feel like we can beat anybody, and we've got a heck of a challenge coming up in the quarters. Really good team, well coached team, but I feel like our guys are playing well. So we're going to enjoy it. Hopefully, the experiences I've had there and kind of being familiar with the setting and arena and some of the logistics a little bit can help. But we're going to enjoy it. This is a special time, for these guys. Usually we're home watching, Division I, Division II March Madness. We're in it, right? And that's such a special thing. I was driving my kids to school this morning, and they all of a sudden said, "Hey, are we going to fill out a bracket?" It's Thursday. It's day one. And honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I know the Hawkeyes are playing Auburn, and that's about the only thing I know from that tournament. So I told our kids, this is our March Madness this year. And they were obviously there last weekend and will be with us this weekend. So it's just a special time for our players, for our families, for our parents. This is it. This is what you dream of all the time. This is what you watch every year since you've been growing up. And for our guys to be in the middle of it, we're going to try to keep this thing rolling as long as possible.
We're watching some highlights of the game on Tuesday night. Tell me the feeling, A, when the guys got the trophy, then B, when you went into the locker room after that. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was pretty special. When guys got the trophy, I just kind of backed off. That was their moment. Us as coaches, we've been there before, and hopefully we get a chance to be there again in the future. But these guys have such a finite, short window. It's all about them, and we can draw up all the X's and O's and game plans and all that stuff. But anybody that's coached knows those guys got to go out there and do it. And they really exceeded, even my expectations from taking what we had prepped, in our 2 days. As a coach, you stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning, worried about it, trying to figure out what's going to go wrong. And honestly, through the first 4 minutes, we get to that first media timeout, and I told our coaches, all right, I don't know if we're going to win, but our game plan is working, and our guys are locked in. And it was a great feeling as a coach to know that what we had prepared, our guys were into it. They were executing it even better than I thought. And then it was a matter of just making some plays. And I told our guys before the tournament, you got to have some guys step up and make some shots. And we had so many different guys do it throughout the tournament. We had 3 guys on the all tournament team. Blair gets the recognition for doing it in the finals. He was off the charts in the second half. But Josh Brown did that on Saturday. Charlie Katona and Jack Middleton did it on Sunday. Lincoln Meister had about 10 blocks in the tournament, right? So every single guy had their moments, and that's what it takes. We've got a deep team. We've got 8 or 9 guys that can really play, and it was different rotations, different guys. Blair sat out the last 10 minutes of our game on Saturday. He wasn't playing great. The guys that were in there were rocking and rolling. He didn't play the last 10 minutes, and he was the best cheerleader on the sideline. And that's what I think I take the most out of this weekend is we had different lineups on the floor in all 3 games in the last 10 minutes, and we were able to close all 3 of those games, and all of our guys just want to win. So it was a great feeling for sure.
the last time I think for most people in the area, Justin, that watch your team was the NSIC tournament championship game with Duluth. What did anything change when you got to the regional of what you guys did in the NSIC tournament to the Central tournament?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. I thought we were playing our best basketball, and without going into too much detail, I didn't think I had our guys ready to play against Moorhead. And to their credit, they jumped all over us right away. As a coach, we were playing back to back. I kind of thought we could just play, right? Like show up, play. You got to make plays. And I didn't prepare our guys defensively, offensively, game plan in the first half. Sometimes I like to yell at the referees too much. I was a crazy man in the first half, quite honestly, right? And I didn't give anything to our guys to make adjustments. I wasn't coaching them in the timeouts. And as a coach, when we got back home from that game, I texted our guys. I said, that one's on me. I didn't have you guys ready. I didn't coach you. I didn't prepare you. And I said, I promise to put everything I can in these next 10 days to get ready for this tournament. And we spent more time with our guys in the film room, watching extra film, having very detailed game plans. And what I've kind of found out is we got some smart guys, and the more we give them, sometimes as a coach, you don't want to flood their brains too much with so much info, but these guys can take it. And the more I've given them, the better they've played. Haven't slept a whole lot, quite honestly, but that's part of the deal, right? Everybody says we can sleep in May. We'll sleep in April, but right now these guys are taking all the info. They're putting a ton of time into it, and they're taking this program to new heights. So there's no doubt that game. We kind of felt like, they beat us last year. We, Austin Andrews got hurt the game before. Yep. They beat us pretty good in the finals. All right, we're playing pretty well coming down the stretch. We had 3 really good games in the tournament. Kind of felt like it was our time. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. We got beat pretty good. And it was a tough feeling for our guys, for us as coaches. Our guys were frustrated. We, took 3 or 4 days to kind of get back off the mat and kind of figure out how we needed to play, how we needed to prepare, how we needed to be coached. And sometimes just that kind of reality check of, we need to do more. Yeah. And that Moorhead game really did it. And it hurts that we don't have that trophy. But at the end of the day, I think it made us a better team, and it helped us to be successful here down the stretch and have a really good Central Region tournament.
To people who look at your roster, you're loaded. I think almost everybody is from Minnesota. You got a couple Wisconsin guys. Was that a clear goal that from when you took over that we're going to make sure that we harvest the best guys that we can get out of the state of Minnesota?
100%. At my time at Moorhead and I was at Northern Jamestown, there's so many good players in the state of Minnesota. And what I found out right away when I got here, Duluth is a great place for kids from the Twin Cities where they want to go to school. It's, we can be in downtown St. Paul in about 2 hours. You can get to the southern suburbs down there, Eden Prairie, Shakopee, Edina down there in 2.5. And Duluth has so much to offer from, take basketball out of it. Duluth has so much to offer. These kids come up here for vacation every summer. Their parents come up here. When we start recruiting a lot of kids, they're excited. And now, my thing when I got the job is everything is set up to be successful except for the basketball. Basketball program had struggled. But the school sells itself. Great academics, awesome campus. It's on Lake Superior. It doesn't get any better than this. Mm-hmm. We really try to bring kids up here, May through August. Obviously, I always tell them we're playing basketball inside October through March. But when we're outside the season, this place is spectacular. And I've lived in a lot of places, and we've loved living everywhere. But this place is different, and we really try to use that in our recruiting. So if we could kind of sell the vision of how we're going to be successful, we thought we could do it. And I've told this to a lot of different people. One of the reasons I was excited about trying to get this job when it opened, I wasn't just going to go anywhere, right? I had a great job with Chad. Moorhead was awesome. We were good. I wasn't just going to go somewhere. But what I loved about it was every single sport here is successful, right? Hockey's, basketballs, footballs, volleyballs, softball. You go down the line, everybody's good. So there's got to be a reason. Obviously, we have great coaches and great administration, but there's got to be some recruiting things that people are attracted to the city and attracted to come to school. So I was excited about it from that standpoint. If we could get our basketball program going, I knew we could recruit the cities. And honestly, we're in the Twin Cities. We're in Duluth. We have one kid from Rochester, Lincoln, who obviously has been great for us. Drew Blair's from Wisconsin, but I recruited him when I was at Moorhead and kind of had a connection there. when he transferred from Northwest Mo. So we have one Wisconsin guy. Once, Drew's coming back next year, but once he's gone, I think it'll be all Minnesota guys.
Wow.
We got two guys, one from the cities and one from DGF coming next year as well. So there's so many good players here, and I think our philosophy has been let's start close, and we haven't had to really go outside of that. So it's been a good formula. There's other teams in our league that are doing the same thing, so it's not just us, but we've got some really good, highly competitive players in our program right now.
How many texts have you gotten from Wallfall over the last couple of days?
I tell you what, we talk all the time, especially as we've gotten here into the postseason, and it's been fun to kind of have somebody to fall back on that kind of knows what you're going through, right? I think he texted me after our game Sunday. I got a text from him and a text from Brad Bigler down at Southwest, guys that I have stayed really close to, Paul Sather up at Northern State, and all three of them kind of said the same thing. They said, you got this, right? Just do what you do. Don't do anything different. Keep preparing your guys like crazy. They all said it in different ways, but gave me a lot of confidence knowing those guys had confidence in kind of what we're doing. They've seen our program rise throughout the last couple of years, and I had a chance to talk to Chad after the game. Even we talked on the phone. So just great to have guys that all those guys have been through it. They've been in this league or in this region before. They've won in this region. They've been to the Elite Eight, and I've had a chance to do it as an assistant, but it's different obviously when you're a head coach. So having those guys that are personal friends but also mentors on the coaching side has been really awesome to kind of see those guys in your corner along the way.
Do you have the net in your office that you cut down? Where's the net?
Yeah, right there on the trophy, right there. Yep, right there. Why not?
That's
right?
fantastic, man. That's pretty good stuff. You get Black Hill State, which is interesting. When I saw the bracket come out, I'm like, all right, that's kind of a regional game, obviously, for them in Spearfish. What do you know about BHSU and what kind of matchup this presents for you on Tuesday next week?
Yeah, we're just getting started from like an X and O standpoint, but from just a program standpoint, man, they've been really good lately, and they went to the Elite Eight last year. Coach has done a great job there now getting them back 2 years in a row. That's a hard thing to do. And we went through it this year. We didn't even, we lost first round game in the tournament last year. But we felt like coming back year two, everybody's gunning for you, right? Yeah. So for them to do it 2 years in a row, that's just a testament to how good they are. They're well coached, high powered offense. Joel Scott inside as first team All-American, big guy, but he can shoot a little bit. And just, I think I talked to Tim Bergstrasser yesterday because they played him earlier in the year, and he used the word tank. He's just a tank inside, right? He can do everything. He's a tank. And when I watched the film here last night for the first time, you can see it. So we had a chance to watch him play a little bit. We were in Aberdeen for a tournament at the same time they were playing down in the Pentagon against Moorhead and Augie. So those games were on Midco. So I'm going way back in the memory bank to watching those guys play. I think they beat Moorhead on a buzzer beater.
Yes, that's right.
So I know how good they are. Anybody you play this time of the year obviously is really good. It's going to be a heck of a challenge. But what I do know is it's been proven over the years, especially the last 10 years or so, if you can get out of this central region, it doesn't guarantee a thing, but you're prepared. You've played some really good teams. You've won some really big games. So our confidence is sky high. We're going to prepare just like we did last weekend. And this time of the year, if you can just put together 40 good minutes, you get a chance to move on. And that's our focus right now. We'll try to ride this wave as long as possible.
All right, I'm contractually obligated to ask you about the University of Iowa basketball teams here. The men obviously playing, but I've been watching, I'll be honest with you, I watched the women just because I love watching Caitlin Clark play, because that is awesome stuff right now, man. That is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've obviously watched the men's games when they play, and they've got a great team, and Fran does a great job. But myself and my family really has been enthralled by watching the women play, watching Clark play. To see Carver, when I was there in 05, 06, a long time ago, Coach Bluter was doing her thing, and to see her do it for such a long period of time, and she's always been really good. She's just that model of consistency. But to now see it go to this next level of number 1, number 2 seed type of team, to see Carver Hawkeye jam packed, and to see it sold out, and to see those fans. I've got family that still lives there that go to every game, and it's must see TV. And not that the men, everybody's gonna watch the men, but it is must see TV. And we were, I think we were at the conference tournament, and that was when Clark hit that game-winning shot against Indiana. Lincoln Meister's sister is a freshman for Indiana. So we're sitting there watching, and myself and my son go nuts when it goes in. He's down a little bit, right? So you got some family connections there too. But it's a fun time. It's always a fun time basketball-wise this time of the year. But whether it's just being highlighted more or it's on TV more or whatever the case, there's been some fantastic women's basketball at a ton of different levels. You talk about our women's team here and what Mandy Pearson's done. You see that atmosphere here in Romano. To be sold out for a regional championship game and to be down by whatever they were, 11, 12 points, and hit that shot that Ella Gilbertson hit. It doesn't get any better than that.
No.
You're watching women's basketball flourish. It's year 50 of Title IX and women's sports. I think it's just been a great culmination of what these 50 years have been, to see women's basketball as a whole being spotlighted like they are, but putting out a fantastic product on top of that. It's not like we're just spotlighting something that isn't exciting to watch. This has been some fantastic basketball, and we're as tuned in to our women here at UMD. We're as tuned into the Hawkeyes and Caitlin Clark. And when Indiana plays, our guys are watching that because of Meister's sister. So just a fun time basketball-wise, but specifically for women's basketball.
All right, so before I let you go, is there a go-to spot you miss in Jamestown? Was there a spot you used to go, either eat, hang out? Is there one that you used to go to all the time?
Yeah, I don't know if IDK is still the bar there up there, bar, restaurant. We used to have a great time and celebrate some wins there at the IDK. So hopefully that place is still rocking and rolling. I haven't been back there, honestly. Been back to see Coach Neville a couple of times when we drove through, but haven't been back to my local favorite spots. I'm actually more of like a Hardee's or a McDonald's kind of guy, right? That's kind of who I am. So hopefully that Hardee's is still there. I spent a lot of money there, no doubt.
It's funny now as we're talking. I remember calling you when you got to play. Was it Arizona or was it New Mexico? Who did you play? New Mexico. Yep. I'm like, holy cow! Jamestown's gonna go play in the pit. That's pretty cool. I just now remember that.
We were tied. It was like 25 to 25. It was a great time. After that, I'm not quite sure what happened, but we were tied at one point. Yeah.
I'm so happy for you and your family, man. This is such a great thing. Congratulations on the win and safe travels to you're heading back to Evansville. So congratulations and good luck next week, all right?
Yeah, thanks, Dom. You do a fantastic job. When you called, this is one of the top shows in the Midwest. So I'm excited to be on. You've done a great job, and thanks for everything you do.
Thanks, bud. Great to see you, man.
Right.
Justin Wieck, head
Thanks,
coach of the Duluth men's basketball team. They will play on Tuesday afternoon at noon against Black Hills State in the Division II Regional in Evansville, Indiana. We're way past break time, so we'll do it now. We'll get caught up. Jory Collins coming up. Bison women's coach. We're going all the way out to Oregon. We start our second hour on Hot Mic right after this. That was a lot of fun with Justin Wieck. Missed that, we'll podcast that later today. We're overdue here. We'll get back on time. Jory Collins coming up from Eugene, Oregon. The Bison women set to take on the Ducks tomorrow night in the women's NIT. We'll start hour 2 on a Thursday morning right after this.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody, here on this Thursday morning. Great sports day. We mentioned all the hoops. The NCAA Wrestling Championships get underway at the top of the next hour from Tulsa. The Bison sent 6 wrestlers there, including West Fargo's own Jared Franick, who ran a feature on him on our newscast on Tuesday. Got a heck of a chance to win a national championship. Excited to follow those guys in Oklahoma. Also still going to the Bison women's basketball team as they are in the Pacific Northwest as they'll be playing the Oregon Ducks coming up tomorrow night in the first round of the women's NIT. It is Thursday at 10. Doesn't matter where he is in the world. Jory Collins will make time for us on this Thursday at his normal time slot after a arduous travel day. Is that probably the best way to describe it?
Yeah, well, you felt like I was going to Europe. It took about the same amount of time to go across the pond as it did to get out here. But it's that time of year, Dom, where every basketball team that's still playing is traveling. You get this and find out where you're playing. You really have 36 hours to figure out your travel plans, and we were in 3 different groups, I think, yesterday. To get out here, but we made it. My luggage did not make it. So I'm still wearing the same clothes I wore yesterday. And I'm going to have to go do some shopping today if it doesn't show up here pretty soon. I don't know what I might just be in some shorts and a T-shirt on the sideline coaching tomorrow night. So
let's start with, because I had a bunch of people emailing me about, well, wait a minute, I thought this was a regional deal that NDSU was going to be playing close to around here. Can you explain as much as you know about how this all came about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's their preference, is they're trying to make it as easy on you as possible, travel wise, and because what you're responsible for is a certain amount of your travel, and then after that, they take care of everything, which is pretty fair deal. I guess I was looking at everybody that I thought was going to be in it, and there's Nebraska and Kansas State and Missouri State and Illinois State and Wyoming and all these teams that are in the same time zone. Yeah. So I was a little bit surprised that we were going 2 time zones out west. But if you look at really who's playing in it, I mean, it'd be easy to put us in that section instead. So, I mean, that's just the choices they have to make. I think if we happen to, get ourselves a win tomorrow night, I think there's a good chance we'd be playing at home next week.
No kidding.
So that would be awesome. So they do a good job with it. I've never been to Oregon, Dom. So I was like, okay, it's be fun. I've never flown out here, and just to get to see their stuff. And we practiced in their practice facility yesterday. So it's been a cool experience so far.
We were playing some video, Jory, of their team, and for women's basketball fans, they full well know how good this team perennially is. For those that don't follow women's basketball that closely, tell our viewers, listeners, how good is this team that you're going to face tomorrow night?
Oh, they're good. Yeah. I mean, they're starting a couple. What they aren't is very experienced, and probably as deep as they have been before. Okay. So and then you're playing in, what's arguably the best league in the country. So they've lost more games than they've ever lost, but they're all single-digit losses, and they're going to say after the year, hey, we learned a lot with our young players. They kind of got a 3-headed monster at the guard spot. Those guys take volume shots. India Rogers is somebody I remember watching a lot when I was at KU, and she's from the Dallas area. We were recruiting her, and I watched her a bunch in the summer, just electric point guard. But their 4-man, Van Sluten, is having a terrific freshman year. 6'3" kid. It's pretty versatile. Looks like you're supposed to look at that level and just running, jumping, playing. And then, their kid in the post is another young player, but she's just great size, 6'8", long wingspan, really good rim protector. And then, like I said, they've been in every single game against some of the best teams in the country, UCLA, Stanford, Arizona, Washington State. So they've played high-level competition, and they're going to be right back where they're used to being, top 10, top 15, top 5 team here pretty soon, I think.
How well Coach Graves? You know him at all?
I don't know him personally. I've listened to him speak multiple times at some Final Fours and stuff, when they really had it going, and he had some chances to do that there. He's always been very generous with his time and very personable, so it's easy, but he's meeting hundreds of people all the time. I haven't had a chance to spend any, individual time with him or anything like that.
They are not that far removed from having the best player in the country, in Sabrina Ionescu, who's, I believe, director of athletic culture. I don't know what that is, but it sounds important. And obviously was the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft. To have that kind of player, what kind of impact do you think that has even now a few years removed? That just draws great players there, right?
I mean, it's everything. I mean, we can sit here and talk about the importance of coaching, Dom, and there's some things you can do to lead your team and set the foundation for culture and all those kind of things. But let's not kid ourselves that players win games, and they can put your program on an unbelievable path when you can get a special one. I mean, I've had some great opportunities. I had a young lady named Kelly Moten who was National Player of the Year that came and helped us win a ton of games. And, we helped her get straightened out and give her a good foundation for her life. She helped us win a lot of games and give a lot of different people opportunities. And so players like that are special. You get someone that can impact not only your program, but your community. They have a lasting impression. I mean, she can walk around here for the rest of her life and probably never have to buy a meal.
It's not bad to have that. And by the way, still pretty much going as the top player, one of the top players in the WNBA. We talked last week at the Shack, obviously, about the disappointment of what happened in Sioux Falls. Now that you move past that, describe the practice now leading up and telling the team, hey, here we go. We're going to play a nationally recognized team here in the postseason tournament. What's been the attention of the team now getting ready for this game tomorrow night?
Yeah, just switching gears from disappointment to excitement. I mean, that one hurt, stuck with me good, probably 3 days. But when you have a chance to not have to sit on that for months, it's great. And I know regardless of the caliber of team we're playing tomorrow night, our team's ready to play. It feels like it's been forever since we played. But the practices have been good, have been sharp. It's funny. They do a lot of the things that we do. It's going to be pretty similar style of play on both sides of the ball. So there's a comfort level with that. The difference is, when you're fairly simple, you let players make plays. They got some electric kids that we're going to have to really compete with in some situations and on the glass and some of those areas that stand out for players like that. But I think they're just excited to get out there. We know it's going to be a great crowd. Their men played last night in the NIT, got a one. Looked like it was a great environment for that. So I'm excited to get on that floor with all the evergreens, see what that looks like in person. Yeah. It looks different, on the TV, but that'll be fun to see. And I think just, this is why you do these things. And everybody that's playing now is really good, or you wouldn't be playing. So it's just kind of a culmination of all your year's hard work is to get into these opportunities and go make the best of it.
It's funny you say that. I got an email saying, can you ask Jory what's up with the Oregon floor? And I mean, that's just Oregon, right? I mean, they're different in everything they do.
I mean, they just do different stuff. Yep. I mean, they probably wear a different uniform every game.
Yeah.
I know the football team does, for sure.
There's no doubt about that.
But yeah, that's just the Pacific Northwest landscape, I guess, going around the outside of the court. And they've had that for quite a while. Yeah. It's always been pretty unique. I'm thinking about unique floors. Them and TCU.
Yeah, that's right.
Are two of the most different courts that I've probably been able to be on.
Memphis has a weird one too. Have you seen Memphis's one on TV? That's
I don't know that I've seen Memphis lately.
It's all blue, man. It's weird. It's different. It's not like football where you can have different football fields. Basketball, let's not mess with that.
TCU's is like white. With the horned frog scales all over it. I'm not a huge fan of it.
I wanted to ask you, I know you're not necessarily worried about that, but when you saw the bracket come out Sunday night, see the Jackrabbits were seated 9th. Was that about what you thought? I think it's awfully hard now for them to make a run because now you got to play the number 1 seed on their floor if they're able to win tomorrow night.
Well, I mean, if you look at it that way, yeah, if you get a win, you're now you got to be a big upset. But did they deserve a 9? I think so.
Probably.
I think we talked last week, and I thought 8, 9, 10 would probably be definitely better than the 11, 12, 13 line. So. Yeah, I think they probably seated right where they should have been. I think that was pretty fair for them, and obviously, they're playing a good team too, and it gets harder and harder every time you win one.
They're playing USC as South Dakota State, just for comparison scores, which I know Jory will love. They beat Oregon 73-45 earlier this season, and then 56-51 were the two scores. They lost to the Ducks by 25 and then beat them by 5. So that's typical probably of what you're just talking about how young a team Oregon is right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're uber talented. They can beat anybody. But also, when you have young players, it's not always about how talented you are. Yeah. It's mental and mistakes and playing mistake-free and depending on who you're playing and their experience level, people can take advantage of that at certain times. And like I said, the Pac-12 was right up there, probably as good a league as there was this year.
You have an Oregon player, obviously, in Abby Graham. I visited with her on Tuesday. She was super excited for a chance to get home. I think for people that right about this time last year, maybe a little bit later, Jory, that's when you were actively recruiting her. Tell us about how Abby got to NDSU and how big a deal this is for her to have a chance to play, quote unquote, not too far from home, being from Portland.
Yeah, I mean, we got on Abby Graham pretty late, like January of last year. She'd had some really good recruiting opportunities early in her career, and then the COVID thing. You still got to go back to all that. There's just changes and with people getting another year and opportunities came and went pretty quickly in certain situations. And then she had a couple different coaching changes in places she was interested in. And, we had a mutual acquaintance, somebody that she works out with, had reached out to us, and we knew we were going to take another guard. We probably thought it was too late for a high school kid in that class, and we're probably thinking transfer. But once we got to talking with AG and watching film, we just thought she had too much potential as a high school player to pass up on that talent. And she's come in and had a really good freshman year, been up and down for her. Had some, like most freshmen, has had huge moments, huge halves, has had some freshman mistakes here or there, but I mean, her potential is going to be really good. I mean, she, just with a year under her belt, I'm excited about her growth and what she's going to become for us.
For people that don't know, and I'll ask you, just the level of basketball, high school basketball in the state of Oregon, I'm assuming it's pretty good. Where is it ranking? I
wouldn't say that it's great.
Okay.
In comparison to some other places, every place is going to have your standout, a top this and top this player, but I don't know that they put out, a ton of, there's not 10 plus Power 5 kids coming out of Washington and Oregon.
Okay.
I don't think. And now that's not an area down where we obviously spend a lot of time. But it's not like Minnesota, who's just perennially puts out, multiple players like that. But I'm glad we got the one we got out of there.
I'll ask you, with the Minnesota State girls basketball tournament going on and you're still playing, how do you handle something like that where obviously you would have people on the ground, but you're still playing? You take that trade, I imagine, 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah. Coach Michaela's there. She was there yesterday, didn't fly with us. Was going to spend a day and a half there watching some of our kids that were recruiting hard and some of our commits that are playing. Your priority, recruiting's always vital, but your priority is your team and your players that you have now, the people that are in your circle. And so I haven't, I've checked a couple things online. I've watched a couple streams, but we're trying to get ready for a game. And you're right. We would trade that all the time. And that always sounds good in recruiting anyway. Sorry we couldn't be there, right? But we're still playing.
I've asked Matt Etz that all the time, because when they're playing, there's there's other teams in the actual houses, but you could say, hey, flip on ESPN or whatever. Hey, we're playing. That has to mean something, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it does to the kids that you're going to want to recruit. Yeah. I mean, the ones that are going to matter are ones that want to be playing at the same time also. Right. So it's, you'd always like to be there, but it's also kind of a blessing when you're not.
Right. Before I let you go, I'm filling out my women's bracket here later. Is there anybody but South Carolina that can win this thing, or what do you think?
South Carolina or the field?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is.
Okay.
I think there is. Now, don't ask me which one it is. And I'll be honest, I haven't looked at that. I haven't studied that bracket at all.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably 5 or 6 teams that can win it.
Okay.
But if I was betting money, I wouldn't bet against South Carolina. Just think they're that good. I think Aaliyah Boston's that good.
She's awesome. She's so good to watch. She's just so much fun to watch.
And she's just if you ever get to listen to her interviews and listen to her speak about her teammates, and I mean, she's just unbelievable kid.
Okay, here's my final four I did. Ready? Okay, I got South Carolina, Iowa, Connecticut, and Indiana. That's the four I went with. What do you think?
I think that's pretty good.
All right.
I think that's pretty good. I think
Gino's just going to get there. Even
might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Who's Stanford in with?
That's Stanford's in with Iowa.
Okay.
Iowa's the 2, Stanford's the 1.
Yeah.
Duke is the 3 in that region too. So.
Well, I think you're going to get the Iowa.
I think so too.
Stanford matchup.
Yeah. ESPN's rooting for Iowa there. You know that, by the way.
Well, of course. Of course, but yeah, and then Indiana's had a great year. I haven't had a chance to watch them much, but
they're all right.
Heard awesome things about how they're playing.
Pretty good. All right, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. I know it's early out there. Appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow night. All right, and we'll talk again next week. Okay.
Thanks, Dom.
Good to see you, man. There he goes, Jory Collins, North Dakota State women's basketball head coach in Eugene, Oregon. The Bison will play the Oregon Ducks tomorrow night, 9:00. I've been asked about television. You guys will love this because it's, of course, a Pac-12 school. It will be on the Pac-12 network, but I also believe it is streaming as well. What I'm working on is finding out if you got to pay for it and if it is closed off to non-television subscribers. Like, if you don't get the Pac-12 network over TV, can you watch the game on streaming? I haven't got an answer on that yet, and hopefully by either the end of the show or tomorrow we can pass that on. It is on a live stream for them. I don't know. I think then you'll be able to watch it. Not sure if it's free or not. We'll dive into that and hopefully have an answer by the end of the show tomorrow to let you know on that. 9:00 tip, though, coming up tomorrow night from Eugene. We'll take a break. Get caught up in a couple things. Get checked in on the Class B as well. That tips off here in just a couple hours. Hot Mic continues after this on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com. Look at that. That's a great shot from the Event Center in Bismarck as they get set to host the 2023 Class B Boys Basketball Tournament. First time in 5 years that the B is back in the capital city. Last time was 2018. It was supposed to go there, as we all know, in 2020. That did not happen with COVID. That canceled everything, including the B. And then the last 2 years, we have played the tournament out in Minot and now back in Bismarck, which they love it. It is a huge deal. And I imagine for the night session tonight, for the games coming up in prime time, that Central Cass Warwick game to start things at 6:30, and then the Lax Burlington and Thompson game at 8:15, it's going to be packed. It's going to be rocking there for the evening session. Even on Thursday, I would imagine by Saturday the curtain is open and they got a packed house there in that upper tank, and excited to see what's going to unfold here over the next couple days. And we'll check in Bismarck, or at least the team on their way to Bismarck, to Lax Burlington. You'll see playing in that night game with Thompson coming up here in about 10 minutes. One update. I don't want to share this one, but it's because it scares the heck out of me. This is from SNY, who covers the Mets. They're the TV home of the Mets. Andy Martino covers the team, says Mets closer Edwin Diaz will have an MRI on his right knee midday today, and the mood in the organization is grim. Anytime you use the word grim, not good. Initial indications are that Diaz's injury, suffered immediately after they closed out Puerto Rico's win over the Dominican Republic on Wednesday, is bad, in the words of one source. People briefed on the situation fear that Diaz could be lost for a significant period, perhaps the entire season. His exam is tentatively scheduled for around noon. It typically takes 4 to 5 hours to receive and read a result, meaning the Mets could have an announcement prior to or during Thursday's 5 o'clock game against Washington. You could see it. I mean, if you were watching it last night, or if you were watching our show to start, I mean, he didn't want to get picked up, and couldn't put any weight on it. I mean, they had to get a wheelchair out for him. Does not sound promising. It's just so upsetting. It just really is. Especially because he became one of the great stories of baseball last year simply because of his entrance. I mean, he was electric on the mound. There's no doubt about that. He was the best closer in baseball last year, and the Mets paid him for that. But that trumpet entrance, I mean, you can't go anywhere now in a sporting event. Heck, the Bison picked it up at the Fargo Dome before football games. They were playing it. That you can't go anywhere without that being blared. He was the reason why. Heck, they had their actual band perform it live at a Mets game, which they never recovered from, ironically enough. They didn't play well after that happened live when they beat the Dodgers. But one of the great stories of all of baseball last year, and now it looks like it's going to be over before it even began here in 2023. That's just disappointing. It's a bottom of the hour break here. When we come back, we'll head back out to Bismarck. It's the opening day of the Boys State B. Tips off Deluxe Burlington. The Lakers are at stake. We'll chat with head coach Chris Brown when Hot Mike returns right after this. Welcome back, everybody. You look at a live shot of the event center. Shoot-arounds going on for the first game that's coming up at 1 o'clock on WDAY to start. The Boys Class B is the final tournament of the winter season is on tap. You can see all the games live today on WDAY. Shiloh Christian and Powers Lake will start things, the champions of Region 5 and Region 8. That'll be followed by Beulah, the champions out of Region 7 against Medina Pingree Buchanan. The Region 3 champs at about 2:45. Then we'll take a break, be back in prime time at 6:30 for number 1 seeded Central Cass. Top seed, champs of Region 1 against the Region 4 champs from Warwick. And then we wrap it up at 8:15 with the Region 2 champs from Thompson against the Region 6 champions from Deluxe Burlington to wrap up the day on WDAY. On their way to Bismarck right now are the Lakers, and head coach Chris Brown joins us on the bus as they got quite the send-off, a send-off 25 years in the making for DLB as they will play tonight, as we mentioned in the final game against Thompson. First, just tell me you're on the bus, man. This is happening. What's the mood of the guys right now and yourself?
You know, we're on our way, and I think if we were to run out of gas on the way there, I think we'd be powered by butterflies and energy because everyone's excited, and I think we're ready to go.
Tell me, it's been a week since you won the region championship game that night in Minot, and what the last 6 days have been like.
You know, well, Friday morning you wake up and it's like, did this really happen? You know, and you kind of think about, you know, replaying everything in your head, watch the game again, probably 4 or 5 times, but it's been a week, and great community support. Everyone wants to help out, be a part of the moment, and very well deserved for these kids.
To go from that, then how do you get how long did you let them celebrate? Was it the weekend and then back on Monday you were back to getting ready for what's to come?
Well, they kind of lucked out where we got that snowstorm on Saturday. So they got an extra day. So we had Friday, Saturday, but then we were back to work focusing on Thompson on Sunday. So they got about 48 hours to celebrate and rethink, and now they're on a mission. You know, these kids know it's the last B, and it would be nothing more to go down and represent our region the best we can.
You mentioned just the intensity of this. When you found out where you were seated, who you were playing against, was that what you thought? Or you just, you know what, we're part of the 8, doesn't matter who we're playing?
No, I wasn't exactly for sure, but after you looked at that night, when we looked at who was still in the field, we thought that we had a pretty tough schedule, and, you know, we were able to get a big win against Shiloh this year and Dickinson Trinity, and then knocking off, you know, Minor Ryan to get here. I thought we'd be right where we're at.
What do you make of the late game? I mean, obviously you've had a chance now. You're coming down this morning. Is there any advantages, disadvantages to having to, quote unquote, sit around and wait to the late game tonight?
That's kind of what we're debating all week long. When do we head and whatever? But we took the let's sleep in our own beds one more night, and because, like I said earlier, a lot of excitement. So just kind of get there and soak it in, and hopefully we're ready to go at 8:15.
When you look at Chris, how this season has played out, when did you get a sense that something special maybe with this basketball team? Was it early on, late, with the region championship night? When did you get a sense you had something special with this team?
You know, when I took this job here 2 years ago, the very first meeting that I had with these fellas, they had big goals. They had lofty goals. And last year, you know, with Carson getting injured and so on, our team kind of had to adjust. And I do think that helped us out in the long run, because a lot of these young guys were thrown into places that they probably wouldn't have had to been thrown into. And now we're just a lot better team as that. And then now we added Carson back to the mix this year. And obviously we had our ups and downs trying to learn, you know, different roles once again. And but, you know, our whole goal was to be playing the best basketball at the end of the year. And I truly believe we're doing that.
You mentioned Carson. There is another Yale. Carson Yale is on your team. That's a very popular name, obviously, in your part of the world. How special a player is he that fans are going to get a chance to watch here later tonight?
Well, you know, one thing you can't do is you can't make up 6'9". You know, that's where it starts. He'll stick out in the crowd, but his game's very dynamic. He can go back to the basket. He can step away and knock down some 3-pointers. And then also, it's nice on defense knowing that you do have 6'9" back behind you protecting the baskets as well. So we can get out and force some passing lanes and do some things different defensively, just knowing he's there for us.
What do you make of Thompson? Obviously, they have a little bit of experience that they won the whole thing in 2019, this team that you're going to match up with here tonight.
You know, first of all, they're very well coached, and and you know that because he's proven that he's led a team to the title. So he does a really good job over there. Athletic. They get up and down the court. They have 3 players that can really fill up the stat sheet really fast. But then also everyone else who steps on the court's a threat. So we're hoping that we do a decent job on the reboundings when they do miss, and then kind of slow them down in transition some, and hopefully just you know, like always, all these 8 teams here are good. And so can we stick to our game plan and play our basketball? And if we do so, I think we could be there at the end of the game.
You mentioned you're in your second year at DLB. You coached in Berthold. You're from there. You went to state. You played at the Bismarck Event Center. How much, A, did your guys even know that you played? B, how much have you tried to impart that wisdom on them over the last couple of days of what to expect here tonight?
Yeah, well, it kind of goes back to that very first meeting that we had, and the guys, like, there's nothing better than to be, and you're going to take these memories along, and I've had so many of my ex-teammates reach out, and you have those connections for a lifetime.
Nice.
And that's where it is. And telling these guys that you are part of history in Mille Lacs Burlington now, and when you guys in another 25 years when you come back, it's gonna mean something special to you as well. So just kind of soak it in. Yep, we're on a mission. We're on a business trip. We want to go down and play our best basketball, but also make those memories and enjoy it along the way.
What do you remember about that trip in 2002 for you personally? What was the most exciting part of it?
Well, the exciting part was when those lights went off. We were fortunate enough to play in the championship game on in 02 versus Mayport, and when those lights go off and the crowd and all the above, man, that was something to be a part of.
You mentioned this. We've talked about it, obviously, Chris, leading up to it, that this is the final Class B as we know it. Your school is part of the ones that are moving up to Class A. I'm interested, being a longtime North Dakota basketball guy, your thoughts on this, how it directly affects you and how you see this going forward. But you've played in it. Now you're going to coach in the Class B. How different this is going to be next year at this time?
You know, I truly believe there is nothing better than the B. And I don't think we're ever going to get that back. But I do think it's going to be a good change for North Dakota, and it's going to, we're going to see some positives along the way. The one thing I'm not looking forward to right away is losing some of those relationships with other coaches that I've coached against for the last 10 years, where I'll never be coaching against them again. But then also along the way, you got to look at the positive and probably making new relationships. So there's that. There's more to just coaching against your opponent. There's all those hours and camaraderie that you've had with them.
How many games, opponents are you losing off your schedule, just off the top of your head? How radical is your schedule going to look now next year?
Well, so we were the only team in our district out of our 8 that are moving up. So we lose our district, but we were We did schedule, mine at Ryan, our Redeemers, and Wolf Hall, because they have a lot of good young talent coming up. So we did keep those three.
Okay.
But looking forward, yeah, we do have a few different opponents. But then we have played a tough schedule. So our Shilohs, our Beulahs, our Hazens, Dickens, and Trinity were already on our schedule. So it really didn't affect it that much either.
You imagine you're coming east at all, or teams come to you? Will that be a possibility?
I think the only East matchup right now is I do think we're going to play Thompson over in the Hoopster Classic next year. So we will see them. But other than that, I think that's probably the furthest east we are traveling as of right now.
So on the bus trip down here, is the guys watching a movie? What are they in the zone? What's the entertainment options here on the way down?
Well, looking behind me right now, it seems like they're pretty just kind of relaxed and chilled. Some moms made some motivational videos that I sent out, so they're kind of watching that along the way. I know some of them were quickly getting in their NCAA brackets here before the tournament started, so they were all comparing their brackets at breakfast and trying to get them in, picking their winners along the way as well.
Before I let you go, just to have this. Again, the spirit of this 25 years, you had a big send-off. I mean, that's what makes this part and such a great and unique event. How much are you enjoying this just to soak it in? I know you're worried about winning a basketball game here tonight, but just, doing this now as a player and now doing it as a coach, how much are you just trying to soak it all in?
Absolutely, and I couldn't ask to be part of a better community. They're behind us 100%. And the other thing that it was fun to see is just as a coach, the excitement of the community, their families, but also your family. Like my wife and kids, they have bought in and have sacrificed a lot too. So just seeing the excitement and when we won that championship night, my youngest just runs up to me and said, "We get to go swimming." Like that was his excitement. Like he had, because he knew that if we won, he was going to get to go to a hotel and got to go swimming. So just seeing the reward for them too, and having all the sacrifice and being behind the highs and lows, and as a coach's spouse, I'm sure come home, you're not always in the best mood. So just kind of along the way, and yeah, we're soaking it in, that's for sure.
First off, he has the right priorities. That's all that matters. You get to a hotel and go swimming, man. That's number one. Everything else is gravy after that.
100%, right?
That's fantastic. Thanks so much for the time. Safe travels down to Bismarck, and good luck tonight. All right.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
Chris Brown, head coach of the Deluxe Burlington Lakers. They play tonight in the final game of the day as they'll take on Thompson. They're on their way down, left Minot this morning. Stopping in Washburn is what Chris told me, to have a shoot-around, and then they're on to Bismarck and hit on the floor. They get on the floor this after the second afternoon game is when their shoot-arounds are happening. As you saw, I don't know if, Ryan, we had the live shot again we can bring up, because the shoot-arounds go, and they're happening right now, as you can see on the floor in Bismarck. Each of the morning or afternoon teams get out there now and have about a half hour, and then the afternoon and evening session teams will get out there after the early games. And I'm always intrigued about the early games because, all right, we're first up. Like this first game, Shiloh coming up at 1 o'clock in the first game of the day. They have everybody's eyeballs on you against Powers Lake, team that has been to state. Obviously, Shiloh's been there, almost every year since we started televising in 2014. They've owned Region 5. That, especially Shiloh being in Bismarck, too, they'll have some people there for the early game. Beulah coming up in the second game around 2:45. That there will be attention there. We were talking with Jeremy Brandt about this on Monday when he joined us, that getting out there, getting first couple minutes under your belt, just looking at the lights, it's a different deal. This is where you want to be. And I know there's been plenty said about it on our show, stuff written about it on the forum and wherever website you go to, newspaper that you read, about this being the very last one. And there will be some sentimentality to it. There is for me. I mean, there's no bigger honor for a broadcaster around here to have the chance to call the boys Class B basketball championship game. I had the chance to do that 7 times over. Twice we had buzzer beaters, right? Does that mean that those won't happen when we go to 3 classes? No. But you will lose some of the nostalgic part of it. And granted, we're going to create some new history starting next year. but I am wondering for the 8 teams that make it to what the newfangled B will be, and it'll be here likely in Fargo next year, what that environment will be like and what kind of attention it will get. You know, you look at what the Class A could look like next year, and it could be very familiar to the teams that we see here now. 5 of the 8 teams that have made it to the Class B will be in Class A next year. Does that mean you've got some schools that haven't had a chance to get there in a long time? Sure. But don't tell Warwick that. Don't tell DLB that. Don't tell Medina that. I mean, they're ending 2+ decade droughts this year to get there. And that's why they are so eager to take their shots. Medina's so eager to get a shot at Beulah. Warwick to get a matchup with Central Cass. DLB, I know they're moving up, but to get a crack at Thompson. Central Cass, Thompson, Beulah, Shiloh, they've been good in everything. Everything. So they're considered the big bad giants, even though they're in Class B. And that's a large reason why we're going to 3 classes, because they want to see them out of there, frankly, specifically the private schools on that. So it adds for an interesting storylines to this weekend out in Bismarck. There's no doubt. We'll take our final break. We come back. We got a ton to get you ready for. It's the best TV sports day of the year. There's no doubt about that. We could have had about 8 pages on what to watch. We'll do all that. We wrap up our show right after this on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at Inforum.com. All right, wrapping up our show. We took a live shot from Bismarck. Great day for sports in this state. As the State B basketball tournament tips off later today. A reminder, our TV coverage begins at 1 o'clock on WDAY. We'll have all 4 quarterfinals. We'll also stream the games at Inforum.com. WDAY Sports Plus tab will have you covered there. Yeah, you got to pay for it. I don't want to hear any more about it, because next year it's going to get even more coverage there. So, yep, that's the deal. And we'll detail this here in what to watch. The NCAA basketball tournament is about to start, as is the NCAA wrestling tournament. So we got a lot going on that we're going to cover. Tomorrow on the show, we're heading all over the place. Tomorrow we'll be in Virginia. The South Dakota State women play tomorrow night in the women's basketball tournament. Tom Neiman, the voice of the Jackrabbits, will join us from Blacksburg as they are at Virginia Tech's campus. Jacks will play USC, as we mentioned. That's coming up tomorrow night. Tom will join us to preview that. Brad Schlossman will join us also tomorrow from St. Paul. The UND hockey team is still alive after their stirring comeback Sunday night against Omaha. They'll match up with St. Cloud State in the Frozen Face-Off semifinals tomorrow night at the XL Energy Center on St. Patrick's Day. Might be a bit amped. They're playing at night as well. That'll be a heck of an environment at the X tomorrow. Brad will join us to preview that coming up on the show tomorrow. All right, let's get you ready for what to watch before we get out of here. As we mentioned, the State B begins later today, 1 o'clock on WDAY. All 4 quarterfinals you'll see on Channel 6. Cullen Holt, joined by Zach Dosh and Logan Campbell, will be out there with our entire broadcast team, cast of thousands, to put on the crown jewels, we call it, for for state tournaments in North Dakota. That begins at 1 o'clock. The NCAA Wrestling Championships coming up at the top of the hour here on ESPNU. Now, also, all the matches are going to be streamed on ESPN+. So if you're looking to watch a specific wrestler, if you fans are looking to watch Jared Franick, you'll be able to do that on ESPN+. The coverage will be on ESPNU this afternoon, then on ESPN tonight in primetime for the second round. And the WrestleBack prelims and first round coverage will be on ESPN tonight. Also, as we mentioned, the NCAA basketball tournament also about to tip off, coming up at the top of the hour. The Summer League champions, Oral Roberts, will play Duke tonight, 6 o'clock. That's on CBS. The 30-win Golden Eagles, can they make another run to the Sweet 16 like they did 2 years ago? They got a heck of a matchup against the Blue Devils, who are one of the hottest teams in the country. That's coming up tonight, 6 o'clock on CBS. Just looking briefly at the games today. If there's a game to watch besides that one, to keep an eye on as a potential upset. That Boise State-Northwestern game. Louisiana and Tennessee later tonight. Maybe Penn State, Texas A&M in that 7-10 matchup. Fun show today. If you missed any of it with Justin Wieck, Jory Collins, and Chris Brown, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. Enjoy a great day of TV sports, folks. We're back here tomorrow to recap everything here on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. Have a great Thursday, everybody.